Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are tackling a huge question. What does it really mean to be strong? We're going to look at it from three totally different angles to figure out how it's built, where it comes from, and, why it even matters so much. I bet you've seen this quote floating around, right? From author G. Michael Hopp. It's this idea that strength isn't just about one person. It's part of this giant repeating cycle throughout history. It's a really powerful thought, but it also kind of begs the question. How is strength actually built? I mean, is it really just our destiny, something passed down through generations like Hoff says? Or is it more personal, an internal fight? Or maybe even a skill that anyone can learn? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. We're unpacking three completely different philosophies on this. Let's dive in. All right, first up, diagnosing weakness. Because, before you can build something strong, you got to know what you're up against, right? Each of these philosophies actually starts by pointing out a very specific kind of weakness that needs to be fixed. So let's take a look at what they think the problem is.
So for Hoff, the problem isn't really about you or me as individuals. It's bigger. It's societal. He looks around and sees a culture that's just gotten, too comfortable. He calls it a kind of societal amnesia, where an entire generation forgets all the hard work and sacrifice that built the world they live in. That's the weakness he thinks we need strength to fight.
Okay, now let's flip the script completely with David Goggins. His take is intensely personal. For Goggins, the real enemy, the real weakness, is our own refusal to face the truth about ourselves. He's famous for talking about how he spent 24 years just hiding from his own ugly mirror. So for him, the battle isn't out there in society. It's happening right inside your own head. And then there's our third view, which points to a totally different problem, a closed mind. Shaolin master Shiheng Yi talks about this idea of a full cup. A mind that's so crammed with its own ideas and opinions that there's no room for anything new to get in. So in this philosophy, the weakness is actually arrogance. And the first step to getting strong, you got to be willing to empty that cup. Okay, so we've got three different problems on the table, right? Societal decay, internal demons, and a closed mind. And that, of course, leads to three very different paths to building strength. Let's get into what those paths actually look like. This is where it gets really interesting, because you can see the contrast so clearly. You've got the protector, who's all about responsibility, protecting family, community. Then there's the warrior, David Goggins' model, where it's all about forging strength through pure self-imposed suffering. And finally, you have the student, Shiheng Yi's approach, where strength is found by letting go, by emptying the cup and trusting a god. Three archetypes, three totally different ways to think about building strength. And this quote, you find it in the suck. I mean, that is pure David Goggins. His whole point is that real, lasting strength isn't found when you're feeling motivated and hyped up. Nope. It's forged in those moments that are just awful. The moments he calls the suck. When everything in you is screaming to quit, but you just don't. That's where the magic happens. And what's absolutely wild is that science is now backing this up. Seriously, neuroscientists have identified this part of your brain, the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, and it's basically the seat of willpower. And get this, it literally gets bigger and stronger when you do things you don't want to do. It grows. So Goggins' whole tough guy philosophy isn't just a mindset, it's a biological reality. You can literally build a stronger will, neuron by neuron. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking, man, this sounds hard. Why would anyone put themselves through all this? What's the ultimate point? Well, that's a great question, because for each of these philosophies, just being strong isn't the end goal. It's a tool for something much, much bigger. So what's the ultimate purpose? For the protector, it's about defending your family, your community, your way of life. For the warrior, it's a deeply personal quest for unbreakable self-mastery. And for the student, strength is actually the key that unlocks the door to continuous learning and self-discovery. The why behind the struggle changes everything. All right, we've looked at these three philosophies. They have different problems, different paths, different goals. They seem totally separate, right? But they're not. There's one single unifying principle that ties them all together. And here it is. Strength isn't found in comfort. It's forged in the fire of what you don't want to do. Think about it. Whether it's preparing for a crisis you hope never comes, running on a broken foot, or shattering your own ego in front of a teacher, every single path starts with a deliberate choice to embrace discomfort. It's about choosing the hard road on purpose. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question. What is the one hard thing you are avoiding right now that could make you stronger? Because if there's one thing all three of these philosophies agree on, it's that the answer to that question, well, that might just be the key to unlocking a whole new level of your own power.